Ain't nothing like it. Ain't nothing like it. And one thing that I've always done is obviously I understand the stuff that happened on the off the field. Being a very good friend of mine, but there's certain boundaries that I don't cross. Allowing people to mature, allowing people to grow within their own right, and not wanting to interfere in what they have going on, because you have people surrounding you, and you don't want to somewhat you know butt into people's personal business and personal space. So AB is one that I've always allowed to spread his wings and do his own thing. But I've always been a huge advocate for what he's done on the field. Always and always showed love, always talked about him in high regard based on the relationship that we've always had. Not agreeing with what he's done off the field. I don't agree with that. But the work we put in over there, it's been damn near 20 years now.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
just think about where we came from to where we ended up and to how it's going now. I wish it could have been different. It's time to right is wrong still. Now it might not be on the
No,
field,
no, that's that
but
that
there are other
that's over. Once he
there
threw those pads in the
yeah, they
stands and he did what he did in the Meadowlands or
yeah.
what Jet Stadium, whatever they call it, Ocho, it was over. His career was
Hmm.
effectively over. After he
Yeah.
said what he said about Tom, I could have never done that. After that man took you in, allowed you to stay, I could have never done that.
Hello and welcome to another Sports Spin, where we take a sports story and we spin it. I'm Sun-EB7 and thank you for joining. Hey, I'm gonna start this video out. This is a weekend edition. I was not gonna do a video today, but you know what? This stuff is addictive. I'm sitting around here. I got other things. I'm working on some projects, and you're really gonna like this one I'm coming out with next week, sometime in the middle of the next week. I wanted to have it out by this weekend. It's a little more involved than that, but I'm working on getting it out. I don't want to say what it is because I kind of want it to be a surprise. That said, I just wanted to say that I was going to take the day and try to finish up this project or get as close to it as I possibly could. But I felt I needed to put a video out here. I feel like I am doing something that I'm able to contribute to an audience that may or may not need some kind of content, entertainment, laugh, or what have you. And so I've taken it on as an obligation. So now I can't just say, no, I ain't working today. I was going to work anyway, but I just wasn't going to do a video. But I'm here. So thank you so much, because it was you that drove me back to this camera. I was not coming, but I could not make a video today. So with that said, we're going to get into what was said at the beginning of the video with Shannon and Ocho. Now, this got pretty heated, but I understand. And not only do I understand both sides. This was a very important topic for society, period. Not just them, not just me, society. This is an issue. And I like the way they covered it. Like I said, if I ain't learning something, I ain't watching. So they actually covered both sides of it, and it was really good to see. Now, first, I'm going to shout out to NIGHTCAP for doing that. Shout out to NIGHTCAP. I know they don't need anything from me. I think that's the #1 podcast or whatever. But I'm good at trying to find, or not trying to find. I'm good at saying thank you when I can, when it's possible, because we should do that. Because I'm using their topic to expand on it. And I'm sure they don't mind. They don't care, because like I said, it is a very important topic. It doesn't sound like it's important, but I'm about to bring up some things that I don't think everybody is. I do this. If you look at my videos, I will bring an angle people don't. I don't try to do it. I just think differently. And so I'm about to bring something into this game where I'm not going far away from neither one of their opinions, but I'm going to add a third piece into it. the most important thing here on this story is to try to understand the big picture. A lot of times that's where we fail. We want to understand just one side or just one piece or just where it affects. But there's a bigger picture here. And this is one of those examples where we can all, as people, learn how to see the bigger picture. Those two are talking about the smaller picture. I'm not saying they can't see the big picture. I'm sure they can. But what they were covering was the smaller picture. AB's behavior versus what it should be, versus what it should be for a person who wants to play in the league, versus his career and throwing it out the window, and the loyalty of Ocho, I'm sorry. Ocho, the loyalty. So that's the small picture. That is the small picture. And again, that doesn't mean they can't see the big picture. I'm just saying, I'm distinguishing the two, right? Okay. So, and of course they had to do the salt and pepper thing. And I don't think it was planned. I think this was natural. I think this was organic. I think they genuinely had two opposing opinions about the same thing. They weren't totally opposed. Ocho didn't disagree. He handled it differently. Now, that's not to say either one was wrong or right. It's just to say that this is what happens when you have a difference in opinion. What friends do versus what others do. See, they're still friends. Why? Because they can understand that sometimes we agree to disagree. Or even better, sometimes we agree, just not on the same terms, right? You got your mind and I got mine. So, let's start with Ocho. I keep saying Ocho because on Speakeasy. But let's start with Ocho. Ocho Cinco. All right. So the side he's taking is the loyalty side. He's taking the respect, the honor. He's saying, that's a good friend of mine. I can't deal with what he does off the court or off the field or off the diamond. I can't deal with what he does in his personal life. I know him to be a great guy that I knew for a long time. I have mad respect for him. I understand what you're saying, but I can't cross the line and go on the other side because I know him personally. That's Ocho's take, right? So you know, if you saw the video, you know that's his take. But I'm about to bring this in together. So that's his side. That's where he's standing. So Shannon Sharp's side is, this is what you need to do to seal your career. This is what you need to do to not betray the people who's out there trying to help you. This is what you do to be a good teammate. This is what you do to conduct yourself in a professional environment and league with millions of dollars to lose. These are the things that you cannot fail at. This is Shannon Sharp's take. They're both right. And why they're both right, and there's a third piece here, so stay with me. They're both right. If you just look at what I just said, rewind it if you forgot, but they're both right. Here's where the third piece, this is the big picture. The big picture has an elephant in the room, and that elephant in the room is CTE. Now, I'll start this with saying I'm not a doctor and I cannot diagnose CTE. That's not my point here. But I can see the shot he took from Burflick. I've been hit by 2 cars, 2 different times growing up. And I mean, I got the daylights knocked out of me. I have never been hit like that. I played football, basketball, baseball, ran track, and got hit twice. And I've never been hit like that. We cannot totally abolish what may be the mitigating factor to why he's behaving this way. I'm not making excuses for him. I'm not saying that what he's doing is right or wrong because of what happened to him. I'm not saying any of that. What I am saying is, if it was my friend that happened to, in both cases, if that was my friend, the first thing I would think is, that's not him. That's not how he acts. That's not how he behaves. So I'm not going to judge him on that. I will agree he's wrong. Everything he's done is wrong. I cannot deny that. But I wonder if there's something that can be done, because this doesn't look like it's him. So maybe there needs to be some kind of psychological evaluation, right? Because CTE is real and you cannot forget about it. And these are football players. I know a football player. Actually, I know several, but I know a football player that walked into a convenience store with no clothes on for no apparent reason. He's a star NFL player. He went to the Super Bowl. Now, I'm not going to say his name, but does that sound like that's who he was when he played for the team he played for? I almost said it and didn't even know who it is. Some of you know who it is. But you see what I'm saying? The behaviors that these guys are displaying. I'm not trying to trash the NFL or NCAA. That's not it. What I'm saying is when there's an injury, if a guy breaks his leg, you don't shut down the NFL for it. You just try to, you know that's part of the game. So maybe you get him some medical attention to get his leg fixed so he can get back in. Same thing. This whole thing with these head injuries, I'm not saying you abolish the league for it. I'm simply saying don't rule it out when you're talking about somebody's behavior. Now back to Shannon's side. Shannon is talking to young people. They both are. But Shannon is talking to young people. What he's saying is do not conduct yourself this way when you get to this level because you will blow your whole career. That's what he's doing. See, he's not really after AB. I can't speak for him, but I can, I can read, I can see. He's not after AB. He's saying you cannot do these kinds of things. The things you did was not indicative of being a professional. Now, one could come back and say, well, he did some of that stuff before he even got hit by Burford. We don't know when he got the CTE. He had some other hits. That said, let's say he's that type of player, okay? I would like to rule him out because he's that type of player, but still, he's one of the greatest receivers to play in the league. So, let me just settle that. Lawrence Taylor didn't do nothing either. They couldn't get him to do nothing. He had one of the meanest coaches in football history. But what did he do on the field? Yeah, he's only the greatest defensive player to ever play the game. Some people have it, and we cannot overlook that too. You know what? Jimmy Johnson said it, but I'm going to just say it a different way. If I'm looking at a group of guys that's playing a sport and I'm coaching them, and here's this guy, I got these rules set up. This is the rules. That's it. No one can change them. Here's what a coach is. He's a CEO of a team. He's not the real CEO, but when you look at the top down from a team, he's a CEO. What does that mean? If your CEO tells you anybody, I'm going to move this around. Say a bunch of people call. And you got customers and you got all these customer service and the CEO says from this day forward, no one can give this out. So no, I don't care what the customers say. It's an absolute no. Right? Now, when I was manager, here's what I told my people. Don't you believe that? That CEO is telling you that because he ain't talking to him. So here's what's going to happen. You tell that customer no, and you don't look up his credentials and you don't see that he's $1 million customer or something like that. And you tell him no too many times. He's going to hang up the phone and he's going to call the CEO's personal line. He's going to tell the CEO what you told him and tell him all this stuff. And the CEO is going to come and fire you personally. And you're thinking, but you told me. Yeah, but I wasn't talking about him. I'm just telling you that's how it works at the top. As a head coach, if you got a Lawrence Taylor sitting there and these are your rules, and he goes out and does what he does, they don't apply to him. There's still the rules, but it don't apply to him. Who's going to go out and say Lawrence Taylor didn't study and he didn't practice and he didn't? No one, because he ran the league. Like I said, what Shannon Sharpe said was correct. For most people, I'm not saying anybody go out there and display that. He's absolutely right. Don't do it. But I'm not going to hold AB. I'm not going to hold it to him when he still was a star in the league. What he's doing with his money and his career now, I'm skeptical about that. And that to me is the big picture. Is why is all this happening? He kind of sounds normal when you see him do interviews, but he does sound a little, a couple beers short of a six pack. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, that's what he sounds like. But, and back to Ocho's side, bad behavior is bad behavior, period. No excuses. That does not mean you can't hold a spot for someone who might be suffering from something, but it's still bad behavior, and you still have to let the young people know this is unacceptable. This is how you ruin your career. This is how things happen. This is why you lose. This is why you're broke. Those things, those messages and those lessons still has to be taught. And even while you're holding it, you're holding a spot for him and saying, I know he's a good guy. I know him personally. I know he's a good guy. What Ocho is saying to me is, what I'm seeing, that ain't him. I ain't seeing that. I've known him this long. I've never seen that. That's not him. That's what Ocho's saying. Ocho. Woo, if I say Ocho one more time. Anyway, so yeah, that is the elephant in the room, and that is the big picture. And I wanted to give my point of view, my perspective, because those things are there. And while we get caught up in the two sides of whether he should be held accountable or not, there is a caveat, and we have to be able to see that. No excuses, nothing. We just want to make sure everybody understands that you're talking about the act and not the person. And that's all I have for today. Thanks for watching. Hope you like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, just remember, this sports story has been spun. Take care.